Hello and welcome to another edition of our podcast. If you don't know who you're listening to, my name is Juan, here with Marc and Kevin, and we like movies. We're back. We've been away for a little bit. We haven't been able to record for longer than usual, so we should have a lot of juice to get out of our systems.
Well, I've got some juice for you.
I'm sure. I'm sure you've just been bursting at the seams. Um, so tonight we're going to discuss the film that we all watched. It was my pick. It is called Old, directed by M. Night Shyamalan and starring Gael Garcia Bernal and Vicky Krieps, um, the in the female starring role. This is to give you all a brief synopsis. This is your chance to get a spoiler-free, uh, yeah, retelling of the movie before we get into everything. But this is basically about a family. Guy and Priska are the father and the mother, and their two children. Um, the teenager Maddox and the younger Trent, and they go off. We first find them, they're arriving at a beautiful resort for a much needed vacation, and not very long into their stay, they get whisked away into a private, secluded beach for just some fun time. And anyway, while they're there, strange and weird things start to happen. Mainly that they are everyone who is present in that beach is seems to be experiencing different levels of physical transformation and just biological sort of metamorphosis. They end up deducing that something there in that place is making them all age more rapidly. It's more vivid in the children who are going through puberty and adolescence and then young adulthood, in the span of hours. But then slowly it starts to catch up, to everyone else as they race against time to figure out what's going on, if they can literally turn back the hands of time, and or you're just making escape back to where things are normal to maybe try to make sense of what's going on. So that's the movie in a nutshell. Um, I will begin by saying I'm a fan of M. Night Shyamalan. I like most of the things he's done, mainly his earlier work. Big fan of Unbreakable, huge fan of Signs, and I like The Village too. Not many do, but I do like The Village. Um, this I liked it. I thought it was a cool original concept. Um, I don't think it quite worked. Um, there were elements that I really liked and that were very, very thought provoking, but they were almost like to the side. Um, the overall sort of more major plot, having to do with this pharmaceutical company doing experiments uh, to test the potency and efficiency of their drugs. I think kind of took away from some of the heart or the cooler things that were like explored, even the weirder things. Um, so it kind of cleaned things up, and tied them up with a nice little bow. But I guess I would have preferred it if it was weirder. If you get what I'm trying to say. Um, And yeah, it had a nice little conclusion, but yeah, overall, I mean, I appreciated the attempt, the originality, something different. Um, cool stuff took place, good acting, but definitely was not quite a bullseye. Missed the mark in some aspects for me.
All right. I'll go next. So it's been a long, sweet while since I saw the name M. Night Shyamalan and went, yes, this is going to be a good movie. He's had a long string, unfortunately, of just really bad movies. I don't know if he was just, wanting to test the waters, but it was refreshing, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed the ending. And when it all came together, I was just like, "Oh man, that is so good." So I thought it wasn't weird, and I guess that's what we're used to from him. But the fact that it just made sense. I guess is why I liked it so much because I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. I can't believe he thought of that, and that's the reason he came up with this happening. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I was happy to see that he is on the good side of movies again.
All right. So I watched this with my eldest daughter, right? And watching this movie with Ava made me feel old. Uh, she th she thoroughly enjoyed the movie, while I kept finding the need to be a little curmudgeon and with that thoughts of like, oh, it lacks nuance. And she was like really into it. And I actually said to her at one point, "Oh man, you should see his earlier stuff. Now those were some good movies."
Yeah,
Uh, but finally, like just watching it with her, she was able to bring me back from the brink of being that over the hill, hey, stay off my lawn type of guy.
yeah,
And I was actually able to enjoy the movie for what it was and not the stuff I had experienced before.
yeah,
And it's true that children keep us young because, like, just her watching it, just getting really into it, I was like, oh man, I'm really enjoying this now. The only thing, like, it's hard to tell, like, when a film is based on some other source material like this one, because it's based on a graphic novel, called The Sandcastle.
hmm,
For me, it was hard to tell, like, where, like, and I do want to read it because it's hard to tell where M. Night begins and the graphic novel ends.
hmm,
And like Juan and most of us, like I do I enjoy most of his movies. Um, and this one, it's passable. It's good. It's not bad, but it's not too. To me, it wasn't too memorable. But like I said, it was enjoyable. And that's my take on that.
Yeah, and I think part of the problem with the twist and the plot with the pharmaceutical company is I think again this was kind of which he's done several times before, but it's kind of like an ensemble piece,
hmm,
um which I loved. Like I enjoyed every single character, but I think it would have been a lot better if we got to delve more into the characters. Um, and again, I don't know how much of that maybe was again the what you're meant to experience. As an audience member, you're experiencing the passage of time, and but there were just emotional elements. Like the failed marriage between the main leads
yeah,
that I think it would have made it more relatable to the audience to delve even more into those issues, and make that more of a central, or more of a yeah, more of the central really aspect of the movie. Whereas with the pharmaceutical plot, you kind of end up with that being the main arc, and all the character stories just kind of being like side stories, which I think for me that brought up brought about some disconnection. I did have some emotional investment, and those parts I really enjoyed. Even just, man, we can talk some more about this later, but it was just emotional, and I think really difficult seeing the parents getting older. you know,
Hmm.
and how just it the way it was done, it was it just made me it resonated with a lot of things that I am feeling of, like seeing my parents slowly, you know,
Hmm.
getting older. And so there was some, and I feel like his movies before, again with Unbreakable, with Signs, they were all the all the different plot points served the main emotional movement of the movie, whereas now for me it feels like it's almost reversed, you know, where it's the main movement became, you know, this thing about the experiment and what was happening to these people, and anything emotional was kind of like just on the side. It was good, but it didn't really blossom to where it could have been really powerful.
So to go off what you're saying, I honestly think, like, if you think about Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, Village, like the characters that we're invested in, that we're watching unfold in front of us, is a handful, about maybe two, at most five. This movie, we're supposed to be invested in everyone on that beach, but we don't care about everyone on the beach. We only care about that family. So I really truly think if it would have been that family that was dropped off in this nice, beautiful beach by this resort, and they were the only ones that had to deal with it. And then we got a different story. I think it would have been a way cooler story. We probably would have got even more weirder. But the fact that there were so many people involved,
Yeah,
there wasn't really a chance for us to be invested in anyone, you know?
yeah.
Like, dude, I cannot tell you how I laughed out like loud when I heard mid-sized sedan. I'm like, well, why do you have this rapper here? Like,
Yeah,
why?
yeah,
That's so out of left field. And the fact that he's just sitting there, not saying a word to anybody, like, it's just, it comes off as weird. Are you trying to like paint him as a thug or something? Like, is that why you said he's a rapper, mid-sized sedan? And, you know, are we supposed to, oh, maybe it just, it was pointless. And then his whole thing, oh, yeah, my girl went out swimming. Bro, you've been there like 8 hours. At what point do you start freaking out? But he's
yeah,
just sitting there calm, cool, collected, you know?
yeah.
And then we have the doctor who, yeah, you know, he was pretty, his character was interesting, but it was just the whole, I feel like he was just a racist. He just saw a black
But
guy and didn't like him.
but
And that was that. So like all these characters here just didn't really, there was nothing for us to really go, you know, oh man, I really liked it. But think about Bruce Willis, you think about Joaquin Phoenix, like those characters, because we're focused on only them.
Mm-hmm.
but I will say, mid-sized sedan had my favorite line of the whole movie. When they found his girlfriend dead, he's like, "Oh damn!" It made me chuckle.
I mean, I liked all the characters, and I think that was part of the except for, you know, the doctor, who was very frustrating.
Yeah.
Although, you know, he clearly had early onset dementia.
I would have knocked him out a long time ago.
I know, man. Like, I really that was just the whole dynamic with him was very frustrating.
It's like,
Even
how long are you going to allow this guy to keep making mistakes?
I know, and it's like you're having a fight with him. I get that you're going blind, so it's blurry, but like it took him so long to throw the sand in his face. He's standing right by a fire, like he couldn't grab a log, like to do something. He's just like blocking
Yeah.
himself. It was
I,
very
I,
frustrating.
I love how his wife ran off, and then like 15 minutes later comes back with the other knife while he's just getting
Yeah,
stabbed.
yeah. But it was even frustrating. Like, my favorite character was Jaren, who was
Hmm.
the male nurse, who was like
Yeah.
so calm and
The most
collected.
level-headed person on the beach.
Yeah, and it was like I think a more patient, well developed story. You know, I almost think of it like Lost. I don't know if I know Kevin watched Lost, but I don't know if you
and
did.
Oh
and,
yeah, yeah.
and and the guy Jaren was on
He got me in
Lost.
on it.
Go ahead.
But
He was. He
that's
was.
interesting. But it was like, you know, you had this main thing that was happening, but then throughout it, you know, they gave you these backstories that explained more about who these characters were. You know, like here you have a doctor who is going crazy, and then you have a male nurse who's like really calm, and just the dichotomy of those two figures. And then, but like,
Yeah.
why, you know, like, why is Jaren so calm and such a leader? You know, why is why is the doctor, what's his whole backstory with his profession being threatened because he doesn't want people to discover what's going on with him, and then he's got this young wife, and then his mom is with them on this trip. It's like we need more to understand fully the dynamics that are at play, and also to understand why we should care about anything that happens to these people, because you really don't. Even the girl that gets pregnant, the doctor's daughter, I
Yeah.
mean, her whole arc is like a blink of an eye. You
Yeah.
Even when she falls off that cliff, or the saddest thing was them losing the baby, but it was hardly sad, even
Yeah.
though it is a tragic thing. And then she falls off, and you're like, oh, okay, another one died, but it's like you don't really feel it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big problem with
Yeah.
with the film,
Uh,
is that, yeah, go ahead.
no, I did want to say one thing that I thought about as y'all were writing, because in the beginning I wrote that the beginning just felt that it was just pieced together, like all the parts were put there just to move to like the main body, because we got no real background on it. But even as I was listening to y'all, like I was thinking about the movie, I do now I'm starting to think that maybe it was done that way on purpose, where everything was, because me and Ava, like we both said, wow, this movie just flew by, like everything was happening so quick.
Yeah.
Before we knew it, like it was we were like 10 minutes from the end. We're like, wow, this is quick.
Yeah.
And what I think it might have been like, and again, I'm just trying to think as a director or as getting his mind, maybe that was done on purpose. So we do, I think Juan said, so we do experience it like they're experiencing, where time's just going and you don't have, and like, again, there's no time to reflect on anything. Everything's just going, 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 like
Yeah.
at this maddening pace.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
that would make sense as to why we're not supposed to be invested in these guys, because they're not gonna be around for long.
Yeah.
So
And, and,
yeah,
and
maybe that
sorry,
is it.
and even thinking bigger, like even though it's condensed into one day, like that's how life goes. Where when Juan said, like seeing your parents get older, like you're just living life and it's all pieced together at the beginning, and then you start living your life and things just start happening so quickly, and before you know it, like your mom's old, your kids have grown up, and you've just moved on. I might be getting a little deeper than was intended on the movie, but
Yeah,
as I was
so,
listening to it, that's what I started thinking. I'm like, my Ava's 12, about to be 13. Just the other day she was like 5, and it's
yeah,
just like everything's just moving fast in retrospect. Where like when I look back, everything's just and even like I said, I just got back from a road trip, and I appreciated all that because I was able to just stop and spend time with them, as opposed to everything just keeps going, going, going. Like my
yeah,
mother's gotten older. I got to see my friends and my family, and everyone's just grown so fast, and it just feels like it's been a blur.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but while that explains this mechanism that's at play in the film, it still doesn't make for the best film.
yeah,
And
For sure.
so my knock on it is, it's almost like, you get Christopher Nolan gets this critique a lot,
yeah,
because whatever mechanism and even though his movies to me are still great, but whatever mechanism is in play, whether it's Tenet or Interstellar or whatever, it cannot supersede the things that still make a film great and powerful, which is usually the emotional connection.
yeah,
And so, while M. Night Shyamalan might be really proud of himself, and we can all say it was very original, it was a good idea, it was intriguing. Like, I was never really bored. At times I was maybe frustrated with certain things, but it's not a movie like Signs, that I'll
yeah,
keep going back to, and like every time I watch it I'm like, man, it's so deep, it's so powerful, that movie. um and it's really those things, the connections that you make with those characters, the um the ability to kind of observe what makes them who they are, that it makes, usually, unless it's just a spectacle or just popcorn or whatever, but really the movies that you connect with and that have a profound impact, it's because of that. And so this one, yeah, I guess if you look at it just from that standpoint of just something cool, unique, weird, creepy, I mean, it still was clever. Like, to Marc's point, like that it was this pharmaceutical. I mean, to me, that was really cool that because time went so fast on this island, they were able to speed up the trials of these experiments, and then you just ask the question, well, is it worth what they're doing, if the results are good, but but while I could still say that was cool, it still doesn't necessarily make for a film that I'll have on repeat because I connected with it.
The utilitarian in me is 100% okay with what happened on that beach. But like this, when we finally get to that company and they're talking and they go, and look, what was her name? Patricia? Yeah, Patricia. They go, oh, and look at Patricia. She's cured of seizures for 17 years. And I went, holy smokes. That's what they're doing. The fact that they were able to make that tumor grow as big as it was, and they could pull it right out, and like everything just came. I was like, wow, that is awesome. Because when you're creating medication, vaccines, whatever you want to call it, all of that stuff is trial and error, So the fact that they're able to do in 8 to 12 hours what would normally take 15 to 20 years it was baffling for me. And I was just like, holy, that's awesome. And so, now I feel like he's kind of got a play there where he can come back to this movie and now take it from the pharmaceutical point side and, explore more there and maybe give us some more that we've been really looking for. Maybe the real story is there. It's not on the beach. It's there. I don't know. But when it came together, I was just like, oh, wow, that's an interesting, neat concept. And I really did like it. And that ending just it felt good. It felt good. It felt right.
And I do like that they weren't just heartless. Like they said, hey, let's give a moment of silence for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah,
and appreciate their sacrifice, because they even had that first expedition that they lost there and everything. This was like Experiment 73 or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I said, like, while these people lost their families, other families get to live together for a long time. So
right. No, yeah. So that's what got me the most. But you know what I think? I think we all need to apologize to M. Night. You know why?
Why?
What do I do? Apologize.
He peaked. He peaked in 1999, right? 1999, he made The Sixth Sense, right? I mean, that movie was talked about for years. Fast forward to 2021, Old comes out. And what does the poster say? From the director of The Sixth Sense. We're still using a movie from 99 as his like, hey, man, this is what this guy did. It's like, yeah, I know. And he's had some pretty good, after that. But he really hasn't had. And I think, the problem, and now I'm going off of Old. But here's what I thoroughly enjoyed about Sixth Sense. I watched the first time, blown away. Then I start reading that, if you watch, M. Night, he made sure that he separated the living from the dead with colors. Red is for alive, blue is for dead. I said, no way. I watched it again. Bro, it was like watching a whole nother movie. And yes, anytime that was happening, you see the red and the blue. I said, holy smoke. So then, we get Unbreakable. It's pretty cool. Signs is really good. I liked Village too, but none of that had like the same love and care that he put into Sixth Sense, And I feel like since he came in so high, he's just been going down because we're expecting, that high quality work, because he hasn't done anything like that since. He hasn't done any like underlying, oh yeah, I did this for the movie, and you go back and you're like, oh snap, yeah, that's awesome. There's not that anymore. So, well, you know what? Maybe we don't owe him an apology. He owes us an apology. Because he's coming into work, not giving me his oh man, see, never mind. I was trying to make a case for him, and here I am now, going back to being mad at him. But I think it's funny that every time a movie comes out from him, The Sixth Sense is still on there.
Yeah,
it's always on there, always.
And I wish that I could have that same level of reverence for The Sixth Sense that you do, but unfortunately, I never got to experience it in that way because it was spoiled for me. And so I never really got to have the experience of watching
Yeah.
it for the first time.
And that's another thing, right? These movies like Sixth Sense, maybe not Unbreakable, but Signs and The Village, like those were events, man. Like when the twist, I know he doesn't like when we call it a twist, but when the twist happened, you feel it like it's a kick to the gut.
Yeah.
You don't really get like I didn't get that in Old. I was just like I was pleased by it, but like the other ones, it was like holy smokes, I was not expecting that. You know, it happened.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait, I want to say first one. I didn't spoil that for you, did I?
No.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure what you said. I was like, oh crap, was that me? But second of all, I want to point out, Mark, I don't know why you keep throwing like Unbreakable under the bus when that's literally probably my favorite M. Night movie.
No. I didn't. I'm not throwing it under.
No, you're like maybe not Unbreakable. I'm like, hey.
No. What I'm saying was a twist. That twist, because Unbreakable wasn't really. It was a good story. It was a good. It felt like a comic book movie. That was just a good movie. But there was no. There was the Sixth Sense, Signs, Village. Like all those have that twist that make you go, holy smokes! And now you're watching a new movie.
No, I get you.
I do have a question about Old. So, do you remember when they got to the resort? The first thing they did was give them those cocktails.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you find out later that they're mixing in the material from those rocks into the cocktails.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's what they were doing.
From the coral?
I thought they were giving them the medicine. I thought they were giving them medicine. Like that's how the lady got the t-shirt.
Right. Yeah, they're giving them the drug that they're testing in that drink. The beach is the one that is just making. There's some phenomenon there that's causing them to grow old. But no, the drinks were them giving them the
medication.
I guess the trial run drugs.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. I was confused about that.
Yeah, because if you notice, only there was only certain people that get it. Like the kids didn't get drinks.
Well, the kids. I thought about that, but then the kids were kids. So.
Yeah, but I mean, boy, you can't serve them apple juice, orange juice. Like you can't have a drink for them.
Yeah.
Well, they did. They went to the little table where they met Ibit or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But see, they sent them away. They took them away. They took them out of that element. That kid's face the whole time was hilarious, man. Like I just felt like someone smeared just like a little piece of poop right under his nose. He just couldn't I don't know where this is coming from. But every time I saw him on screen, he just had that face. I was dying, man. He's actually not in the credits.
I don't see him. But that part, I don't know if I said something out loud because I was watching it later at night in my home. But when it turns out that the answer was all along in that encoded message, I was like, oh my gosh, this freaking kid.
Yeah. My one note was, so you're telling me this kid could have saved everyone if he had just read that note earlier? He should have all those deaths on his conscience for the rest of his life.
Yeah. But
they waited till everyone died to go back. Oh, what about that note? Let's play something. I'm bored. Everyone's dead.
I know. That was annoying. But
that's pretty true. I didn't even think about that.
I like your point, Mark, about M. Night being able to build off of this. I think he's got at least 2 more sequels that he could write off of this. I mean, there's at least Older and Oldest.
Well, he does have a movie coming out in 2023. Knock at the Cabin. It's an upcoming apocalyptic horror film. So
interesting.
Something to look forward to. But yeah, I mean, I think this movie was. I mean, if you look at his past movies, here I'll go backwards. Old, we saw that. Glass, meh. I think it only did as well as it did because it preceded Unbreakable. Split was pretty good. I don't know, but I didn't hate it. And then you have The Visit, which I actually never watched. because this was after Earth, which I did watch, and I was really angry with After Earth. Because I'll watch anything with Will Smith. Well, I watch anything with Will Smith pre-slap. But now that he's walking around slapping people, I'm not gonna watch his stuff anymore. But anyways, yeah. So I didn't watch The Visit, but you have After Earth, The Last Airbender, The Happening, Lady in the Water, which I actually was okay with it. I didn't hate it too much.
Kevin
And then you
likes
get to the
that.
good stuff. You like Lady in the Water?
I like, yeah, like I think when I saw it in the theater, like something happened at Flippers where the screen got messed up. But when I rewatched, I'm like, hey, I actually do like it now that I've watched part of it and rewatched it.
Well, yeah, you said flippers, so I absolutely 100% believe that. They probably told you to leave afterwards. All right, guys, we don't know what's going on. You got to go home. So then you got, then you got the good stuff: The Village, Signs, Unbreakable, Sixth Sense, and then I didn't see Wide Awake, but I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that.
Those are basically like student films almost.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't
Fair
really
enough.
count.
So he has two student films that he made in 92 and 98, and then he comes in 99 and makes a Sixth Sense. So like the dude, I mean, he came out like showing us that he's got a third leg, bro. And I was like, yes, I want to see more of that third leg. And he was bringing the juice. But I don't know, man. Maybe he got into a relationship or something. Maybe he moved.
Nah,
Maybe
I
something
think that
happened after 2004.
I think The Village ruined him because with The Sixth Sense, again, you had
Yeah.
that incredible twist.
Yeah.
Unbreakable and Signs, like you said, they were just great movies. They weren't so much about the twist.
Yeah.
But then The Village had a major twist, and almost nobody liked the twist. Like I liked it, and
I did too.
I love that movie.
But see, and you know what? That twist made it more believable. I could totally see that happening.
But I think, like it was also so like the monsters and stuff were so cool that between people just being disappointed that they weren't real and then just being thrown off by it, like I remember that being a huge thing where people were just like hated that movie. So I think that experience, because after that it was like, I mean, kind of downhill from there, And again, I mean, when you're talking about something like The Sixth Sense and the impact that it had, I mean, realistically, he's never going to be able to, replicate that. I mean, that's just like a
come on,
one
man.
in a million, bro.
Listen, man, you do it once, you can do it again.
Nah, man, a story like that, an idea like that, it only comes around once in a lifetime, bro. I mean, and in my opinion, he has done it. I mean, like I said, Signs in the Village and Unbreakable to me are freaking great movies. So, in my opinion, but I'm just talking about like the impact.
He's done. He should just retire.
Yeah, like the impact that movie had was, it was everywhere. I mean, that was like a movie that everyone was talking about. Everyone was like, you got to see it, this or that. It was huge. Definitely put him on the map. Now
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I took us off the movie. My bad.
No, it's all good. Like I said, I my favorite things were, again, some of those emotional things with the parents aging, just kind of seeing just the whole dynamic of time and aging for me was the best part of it. I think it was when the mom and the daughter were having an argument, and then the daughter storms off and says something like, we'll talk about it later or whatever, and the mom's like, but we don't have that much time. It was like, this microcosm of, like Kevin was saying, what is reality for most of us that we take for granted, which is that we don't have all the time in the world to, experience things or even to deal with things and to spend time with those around us. But then even just seeing the toll that just the aging process takes on individuals, with the dad losing his sight and then losing his memory, and then the mom going deaf and becoming slower, and like just seeing that in such a short amount of time was really sort of like, oh crap, like
Yeah.
again, just bringing to surface things that you are like hoping you won't happen for a very long time, but again, like the movie, it's like crap, that's gonna happen before you know it, and that is just the human experience, which again I think is even when you think about the pharmaceutical part of it, it's like you guys both have said that while you know they were killing people, or that maybe the outcome was worth it, but it's like I don't think it is, um
Yeah.
but I could
No,
see,
and
I could
that's
see
fine.
your argument, like I could totally see it. I just disagree, but that is kind of like the debate or the moral dilemma, right? Is like how much is the value of one life, but also
Yeah.
like, you know because ultimately if you keep going down that path, what are we getting at? Immortality, like getting rid of all disease and all sickness and all suffering. It's like
Well,
I,
that's not immortality. I just think that that's just an easier
An
life.
extension of life. Yeah.
Yeah, even an extension. I wouldn't say it's immortality. I think they were just trying to heal. I mean, ailments. I like here's the thing for me. If I found out that there was a pharmaceutical company that's been allowing people who they know are terminal, and they're setting them to this resort and this beautiful beach, and then they just disappear because they just get old, and then we find out that they've now cured cancer, they've cured Parkinson's, we never have to worry about AIDS because they were testing on these people that who were affected already, like they already had this in them. So they gave them something to help them, and it helped them, it helped some, and it didn't help others. For me, I'm a greater good. Yeah, hell yeah, man. They were going down anyways, so why not? And
yeah,
but
but
said, put me in that boat too, man. If I get cancer, hey man, there's a study going on, they want to take a look at you. I'm like, yeah, I'm dead anyway. Sure, go for it. Like, but that's me. That's me and
yeah,
and my thought process. So
yeah,
I was 100% okay with it. But so here, I actually looked this up. It says Priska has the stomach tumor. Charles is battling. He's a surgeon. He was battling schizophrenia. I don't think they actually said that word, schizophrenia.
no,
So that's kind of eye-opening. His wife, it was Crystal, right?
Crystal, yeah.
She was hypocalcemia. She had hypocalcemia, which is low calcium levels of the blood, which is why her bones were doing what they were doing. Patricia had seizures. She was an epileptic. Her husband had nothing. He was fine. Jaron. The kids had nothing. And Aaron, or I'm sorry, Mid-Size Sedan. Sorry, I used his real name.
I'm gonna,
Mid-Size
I disagree
Sedan.
with.
He has hemophilia, huh?
I disagree. I don't think he had hemophilia though.
he
I think
had
that's
Why?
somebody who wrote this.
he had something with his blood, that's what they said.
Yeah, no, but I don't think it's hemophilia because it never said hemophilia. Like even
Yeah,
mid-size sedan was he said, "Oh, I have an unknown disease, problem with my blood," and they
yeah.
even said he had a blood clotting issue. And this is literally my note. I wrote, "Does mid-sized sedan have ITP?" Because I felt seen in that moment. I was like, "I think he has ITP, not hemophilia," because he would have just kept bleeding, but it would stop and then start again.
Yeah.
So I do think he had blood clot issues, but I don't agree that was hemophilia. I like again, it may just be because I have ITP. So I was like, I think he has ITP, and he has a because he said it's an unknown
Yeah.
issue with his blood, not
Yeah, you know what's
hemophilia.
funny about that? Because I mean, I think when you were going through all that, nobody knew what you were going with
Yeah,
for a while, right? So that
yeah,
makes sense, man. Maybe M Night doesn't know what IPT is, and he just went hemophilia because
Is
it
it
says hemophilia is mostly an inherited genetic disorder that impairs the body's ability to make blood clots. I mean, everything that you said. So yeah, I mean, you're knocking it out of the park. So
is that your
maybe,
professional medical opinion though?
Who, mine
yeah, man.
or Mark's?
Yours, Kevin.
My
You're the one with the medical opinion.
Oh no, I do believe like medically, I think it was ITP because they never say hemophilia in the movie, and they always, and even when the scientists say, they're like, oh, we didn't get to, because of the guy with the mental issues, he killed the guy with the blood clot, so we didn't get the results for that. They didn't mention it as hemophilia, and
Right.
ITP is just a blanket term for something that we don't know that's killing your platelets or your blood, but we don't know what it is. And
Oh,
like
that's
even the
fine.
doctor said, the I, you could just make it stand for idiot because that, like, the doctors are idiots about it. We don't know what it means.
Okay, we spent
Holy
time on that.
smoke! That is so dumb. Anyways,
Well,
you
back
gotta love doctors, right?
back to my previous point that while in this scenario they never talk about immortality, but inevitably that's where all this would be headed.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course. Once if disease is wiped out and we have nothing to worry about, then yeah, people are going to get bored and they're going, you know what else can we solve? So yeah, of course. I mean, that's just going to be the natural choice because somebody's always wanting to solve something, and everyone wants to live longer. I don't know if I want to be alive forever. I kind of don't understand the people who do. But yeah, so I 100% agree that that would be the next step.
In some ways,
but
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but that's turning this into a whole nother beast if we look at it that way. But see, again, that leaves room for M. Night to go, you know what? I like what Juan said. I'm gonna show them that they are trying to do immortality, and then you're gonna look at us, go, I told you.
Hey, the sequel to this needs to be called Operation Warp Speed. the Trump story. Operation Warp Speed.
But yeah, man, I thought it was pretty clever. It was a clever. I really appreciated that it was slow, or I'm sorry, fast. Because if this was slow, I don't think we would have. I'm using enjoyed loosely, but you catch my drift. I don't think we would have enjoyed it as much as we did. So I think I appreciate that. It was kind of like, okay, this is what's going on. Buckle up, let's go.
How do you guys feel about M. Night always casting himself in his movies, and how do you feel about him casting himself in this movie?
So his acting has always been terrible. I think there was one movie, I think it was Glass, where he had a really predominant role. I think he was in the whole movie. And yeah, it's just, you got to pick a side, bud. In front of camera or behind camera. There's no two like Tarantino does it. And I don't like when Tarantino does it. When he was in that Django movie, I mean, he kind of almost killed it because he was just all over the place with his acting and his different accents.
Hey, he was good in
So,
Reservoir Dogs.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like, I think
good.
I liked him when he was just a bus driver.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool. It's a little shot. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's the man on the cliff and he's making the call. And I'm like, okay. I'm like,
I mean, the only time his acting has ever, for me, been passable was in Signs. I thought his acting was pretty good in that, but it was like he played an emotionally cold and distant character who was like dealing with guilt. So it was
It's
like
easy to
his dry lack of emotional acting was perfect for that. In this, it was like so bad.
It's the first time he casted the best character. No, I don't understand the need, man. I don't, like, your name's on it. Why do I got to see your face too, bro?
well, he does it in Lady of the Water. He plays like the author that the whole movie is like based around.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe I'm thinking Lady of the Water. I know there was one movie where his role was predominant, and it was just like, no, man, no, Papa, no. What are you doing?
Well, yeah. I was gonna say just a little fun fact for you guys. From when I lived in Philadelphia. It was a very well-known thing that that anyway, he M Night throws like a huge Halloween party.
Really?
He's a big Halloween guy, yes, and that was like a thing. I think they would talk about it like on the radio and stuff. Like, I don't know,
Did you go?
you had to like be invited or something. I don't know
Oh,
That's awesome.
who could get into that, but yeah, that's like a thing in Philly. It's like he throws a huge Halloween bash.
Did
And
you ever go to one or no?
no, man, no,
did you ever go stand outside the gate? Nothing.
no, I never went out looking for that.
Yeah, I would have been
Huh.
like, nah, man, I'm about to be in the next movie. Nah, I'm good. He gonna try to twist me with something. I'm straight.
But all right, well, I am ready to issue my rating for old. Yeah, again, did not hate it. Just to my preference, I would have enjoyed it if it spent a little more time developing the characters, and and just made some different choices. But overall, I mean, I love the originality. I love that he continues to sort of do things that are outside of the box, you know. And hey, you always got to admire a guy that is trying to be original, especially in the state of film today,
Yeah.
and also just like swings for the fences, you know. And it's
Yeah.
like, bro, when you swing for the fences, you're gonna strike out here or there, but you still admire that guy whenever he does hit a home run or you know, whatever else he does. So but for me, I'm gonna say this one is gonna be just a 2 for me. It's a 2.
Mhm. All right. I again, I think this was a nice launching point for him to start making some better movies. I did like it as a whole. There were some missteps. You know, it wasn't a perfect movie, but considering what he has offered us in the past, this was refreshing. So now, with that being said, I'm still only going to give it a 2. I could see myself recommending this to someone. Hey, you know, if you like M Night, this is a good one. Skip these. I think the twist alone would be interesting for some people, like some of my friends who are in the medical fields. They might find this interesting because of all the trials that are being run and how they're doing it. So it's there's something there. Like, you know, I do feel like this could have been a knockout of the park. There, so it unfortunately couldn't make that. So 2 little Jerry's for me.
All right, all right. I'm gonna hit some points real quick before I give you my score. The we didn't get to talk about it, but the casting for that kid Trent, I thought was great. Like every kid looked like it was him at different ages of his life, even the mid guy. So kudos to that. So that impacts my score. I thought the kid should have been mentally more childlike as I grew up, so I didn't get that part. Let me see. I just thought it was an interesting choice. I was gonna give it a much lower grade than originally I was thinking about it, but when I was done, um, the fact that Ava enjoyed it so much with me, I really did. It really did bring up the movie to me. Even the end when Trent reappears, she's like, "That's Trent," and I was like, "Oh, you could tell." But like for a 12-year-old, she didn't have any of that. She just really enjoyed it. She was like, "Yes." And like I said, she overall like her enjoyment of it really brought it up, which made me think like, well, it may not be the greatest movie for me. That there is an audience for it that would really like it, and so that's why I'll probably agree with y'all and give it a 2.
Oh yeah, we got it, baby.
Straight 2s.
Love to hear it. Hey, notice this, but during the movie, Maddox, her bathing suit changes a couple times as she gets older. And I thought that was weird, but I guess that's just because there's different actresses and their bodies are different, so you have to get them. But like they're completely different. And I even rewinded one time. I went, whoa, 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 what happened? She was wearing something different. And she,
Yeah.
it's just a complete. She grows older and her bathing suit changes with her. So like that beach is magic.
I guess you could say there is an audience for it, but 1 out of 1 out of 2 because the tomato meter says 50% and the audience score is only 53%. So
That's awesome.
over, yeah,
That's very aligned.
And for the girl who played Maddox, big shout out to Thomasin McKenzie because she was in the first movie review.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could tell from her voice. I
And
remember her.
the girl who we saw a movie with the girl that played her mom. What was her name?
Priska.
Priska
Yeah, she
Kappa.
was in
The Survivor.
The Survivor. Yeah.
Ooh, that I do not remember.
Yeah.
Good job.
She was she was like the lady that he he ends up marrying. I was like, okay.
Wow. Saying that's pretty bad of me not to remember that.
No, it starts with an M. It's not Meredith, but that's why I was like, I can't remember what her name was.
Also,
Speaking of M,
the
fun
guy
made up fact. Do you know what the M stands for in M. Night Shyamalan?
Miriam?
Maurice.
Mister.
That's great.
It stands for Moon. Moon Knight Shyamalan.
That's even better.
That one guy that played the doctor, I always for a second like get him and Mads Mikkelsen confused.
Hey, I can see that. I can see
Yeah.
that. I can see that. I can see that. I have too much respect for Mads that I would never make that mistake. But I can see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
He just always reminds me of A Knight's Tale every time I see him.
Oh yeah,
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, again, we've done this movie a service here with our opinions of it. I think very fair across the board. I think we all like Mr. Knight, and just want to see him, and we just want to encourage him. Just don't stop being you, buddy. But remember who you were at the beginning, and tap into that, But
Give me the 7 cents, you coward.
yeah, but keep them coming. All right, we'll be looking forward to Marc's pick next and finding out what that is.
Did you say that through gritted teeth?
Wait, is it Marc's pick or my pick next?
I don't know.
I think I go after Juan.
We can discuss that off air.
Okay. It's like, hold on, put my foot down.
But it's been fun. It's been real. Glad to be back, and I'll see you guys next time.
Love you.